All right, today in our lessons we're looking at lesson 15, conditionals for code.org. So conditionals are like if this occurs. So like if this happens, it's going to do something or print something or do whatever we want it to do. In this case, we're also going to learn a new term here called boolean to the screen. And boolean is basically these operators when you see like greater than, less than, those kind of things. When you see those what we call a boolean. All right. So for this activity, this is part 3 of the skill building, is we're going to add a boolean block to the text parameter of the text block. So if we go down here, we can see our text parameter right here. Okay. And so what we want to do is add one of these booleans. We want to add the race car is less than the finish line, and we're going to have it print that, and it's actually going to just print down here. All right, so the first thing we need to do is go to math, and we're going to drag one of those booleans out. Looks like we're going to drag this one. So in place of the text, we're going to drag this. All right, and then we're going to say that the race car dot x. So we're going to go here, and we're going to do race car in here. Make sure I got that right. And then we're going to do finish line dot x. So drag another one over here. Okay. So if that happens, and we have 2 different variables up here, finish line and race car, and if we draw those, what's going to happen is if that car reaches basically the finish line, it's going to print down below. So it's going to print right down here. So let's go ahead and drag this up. When it gets here, now it did run. You can see right here. Sorry, I was looking here at the debug console, but it's actually just showing up down here. All right, so that's actually what's going to, let's run this again, sorry. So you can see false, 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 false. Once it hits that, true. Once it hits that location, it'll change. Okay, so that's kind of what was, sorry, I was looking down here in the debug console instead of over here for the true in this. Okay, so that's kind of what was happening with this activity. All right, let's take a look at part 4. All right, so this is kind of a prediction thing. We're going to say, read the code for the race car program. What will the program do when the car crosses the finish line? If we go down here, you can see this if. So if dot x is less than finish line dot x, it's going to say the orange car is the winner. Okay, so that's basically what's going to happen when the car reaches that area. It's going to print that. All right, and then I'm going to let you go ahead and fill that in, though. All right, so let's take a look at 5. So see, now we have if statements here, and this is going to be a lot of fun. If statements are a major part of gaming, really, and pretty much for every program. You can even look at this program here. If I drag this block out here, it places it here, if that occurs. All right, so right here it says changing fruit. Now that we know how to use the if statements, you can do more and just check if the apple has reached a scale of 2. You can turn it into a pear if it once it happens. So use a conditional if in the draw loop to check whether, so let's see what happens here first. So see our orange is building up and building up and building up. And that should be, let's get rid of this debug console here. Keeps growing and growing and growing. But what we want to do is we're going to add an if. So let's go ahead under control. Add that right here. So it says add an if statement inside the draw loop where indicated by the comments. Add code to the conditional statement that asks if the scale of the fruit is greater than 2. So we're going to use one of these. Okay. And then we're going to add the scale block. Kind of does it for you here. And then we're going to type in the number 2 as well. Okay. And then make sure to update the name on the sprite of the scale block. So if we look up here, what's the name of this? It's fruit is the name of the variable. So go ahead and we'll go down here. All right. And then it says add code inside the conditional to change the fruit to a pear. So in the animations, we do have pear. Okay, so now if you notice this code, this is kind of what we do to set the animation. So we're going to drag one of these in our if right here. And we're going to call it fruit, of course. And we're going to change that to pear. Okay. And set the animation to pear. Okay, so once the scale gets to 2, it's going to change. So let's go ahead and see what it does. So here's orange, 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 orange. Eventually, it changes to a pear. Because once it reached that size of greater than 2, it changes to a pear. Okay, hopefully this helps you with your coding. If statements are really kind of a cool thing in coding, and I hope you enjoy them and use them well. And good luck with your coding.